Hello, everybody. My name is Mo Elias. I own a frame shop in New York called Big Apple Art Gallery and Framing. And today I have a very exciting interview. I'm interviewing Micah Bolton, and I'm going to bring him into the screen. So you guys go ahead and let me know if you have any questions. If you type in your questions on Facebook and YouTube, I'll be able to read it, and I'll bring him up to the screen, and we'll go ahead and ask Micah about it. All right, hold on. So let me bring Micah into the screen here. All right, Micah,
Hey
how's it
Mo, how
going?
are you? I'm good. How are you?
All right, man. Hey, nice to see you in so long.
You too.
Yeah. Hey, I want to start with you do some really creative stuff. It's really amazing. I like it a lot and enjoy it. And lately, you've been doing some videos. So I want to start with your background. Like, how did you get started into that stuff? And just give me a little background about how you got into the framing and into all that creative and machinery and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. My first passion before art and design was playing hockey. So I worked at an ice rink in my early years, and when my body wasn't quite cooperating anymore and I couldn't play at the level I wanted to play at, I started kind of being less interested in it, and that's when I found art and framing. And there was a art gallery that recruited me to come work for them, and I worked for them for about a year, and I wasn't that interested in managing anymore, but I fell in love with the framing. And after that, every time I had a really good job in between those jobs, I'd always go back to framing. And then eventually I just kind of kept doing it and just loved the art form.
This I already know, but you're on the West Coast in America, right? You're in California.
Yeah, we're real close to San Francisco.
San Francisco. All right. So now you got this job, and how did you get to learn all this machine stuff and robots and all that business? I like to know about that.
Yeah, I think if I would have been able to go to school when I was younger, I would have probably been an engineer because I love engineering. I love taking things apart, figuring how they work, kind of demystifying things and
Yeah.
figuring out how the everything goes together. So I wanted to build choppers back when that was popular, and so kind of my framing is kind
Yeah.
of like my version of getting to do that. We're just going full custom, doing crazy stuff, implementing different things that maybe isn't traditional in the industry,
Hmm.
but just trying to flip things on their head and do things a
Yeah.
little bit different than everybody else does them.
Okay. So how did you obtain all that knowledge? You answered all my laser questions and all that. So how did you
Yeah.
obtain all that knowledge? Did you go to some kind of a place to learn it?
No. So growing up, I like I mentioned before, I never got to go to school when I was younger. So like I've never seen the inside of a high school, never been to college. So I've always been really interested in learning because I never really got that chance young. So I just become obsessed with anything that I'm
Yeah.
interested in. So if I wanted to learn how to use a laser, I would just watch, before that there was no YouTube, but now watching YouTube videos. Um, I actually went and interned at a company for a year and took really bad pay for a year
Yeah.
because I wanted to learn the laser. So I would just sit there and cut mats. I used to cut mats on the Wizard for a memorabilia company, but the lady across from me was the laser operator, and I would just watch
Oh.
her all day, watch everything she did, learned all the settings, paid attention. And then I think the first time I entered a framing competition, I did a whole frame that was completely laser cut spider webs, and that hooked me, and I just kept going. And yeah, I just like to learn how things work, and I'm self-taught. School is not my setting. I kind of like to sit back and observe rather than participate, and that's kind of how I get good at things, is just watching rather
Yeah.
than being involved in it. So
That's cool, man. You know, uh, about YouTube, I do YouTube too. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I do a lot of woodworking and stuff, so I learn. And I got sick of all the ads, so I
yeah,
got YouTube Premium because I
yep.
watch so many YouTube videos. I'm like, you know what? Whatever they charge, like $11, it's worth my time to not to sit around, watch these ads. Uh, Sometimes yesterday I was watching a video with my son yesterday, and this guy had a sponsored video. He was talking about it, then he stopped. He played an ad. I'm like, what? Why am I seeing an ad? My son goes, oh, that's a sponsored video.
Yeah, when I turned 18, that's when the internet, around 95, that's when everything kind of hit. So I just kind of eked in there and was able to learn it and understand the internet and grew up with it. So pretty much my entire education is just watching other people do things and learning from it and creating my own methods from those other people that came before me.
Nice. And for everybody who's trying to figure out how old Micah is, do the math to figure that out.
Yeah. Too old.
So Micah, tell me, how do you huh?
Too old.
I'm sorry, what?
I said too old.
Oh, forget it, man. Look at me. Look at all the gray hair I got. Thank you, sir. You do too. So tell me, how do you get all that creative stuff? First of all, you get really cool art to frame, right? So I'm wondering how you get that stuff. And then also, how do you come up with all these cool designs? You did something the other day with a 3D vertebrate, right?
Yeah,
that was so cool. Like, how do you come up with these concepts? Is there a method to this?
Yeah, so every frame shop I've been at, I've had to do like jerseys and shadow boxes and all the same stuff over and over. So at a certain point, I said, if I'm going to do my own business, I really only want to frame the stuff that I'm interested in and the stuff that fits my style, because I can't force my style on somebody's wedding photo or a stitchery. Like, it just doesn't work. There's other frames and other designs for it. So I decided just to focus on, fantasy art, concert posters, things like that, and just try to attract those people to my business. So I had to start out and do a lot of my own artwork and create displays out of my own stuff and try to attract the people that have those posters and that type of art. So that's how I kind of get that art, is all social media, building that following. So people, just like your favorite band or your favorite poster artists, everybody watches for the latest release. When is the concert coming? So I try to use that model to get people's attention. And as far as the ideas, I don't really subscribe to the idea that the frame should be submissive to the art. I think it needs to be equally as good as the artist that made the art. And one shouldn't be better than the other. It should be two things merging, kind of like a marriage, two entities to make something that doesn't exist. So a lot of people say, it overpowers the art or it doesn't complement it. And my thought is, the posters I get are these amazing artwork, fantasy scenarios, crazy characters, all these elaborate worlds. I design as if I'm in that world and there's no rules, and I have to make something that would fit into that character's house or their room or their spaceship. I design within that realm, not within the world we're in. So some people like it, some people don't, but that's how I look at it. And I always design based off the textures, the patterns, the theme of the art. So that way, if you love the art, you're probably going to love the frame, because everything, I'm 100% dedicated to the art, not necessarily what I want to do or what the client's idea is, but it's always about serving the theme and the textures and the art itself, and being true to that. And we've had really good success with really cool themes and ideas, and not being limited by traditional framing methods. We use 3D printers, so we can get any texture, any shape we want. So it's wide open what we can do.
I like it. So look, do you take any input from the client?
If it's a repeat client or somebody new that's not comfortable, we will try to work around that. But typically, most people, like I refer to it, your favorite band, if you go see your favorite band, you don't typically get to write the songs or perform it, and I'm obviously not at that level, but if you like what I do and you follow me, you kind of know generally what you're going to get. And then a lot of the clients we get kind of like to buy prints to see what I'll do with them. And they're okay with the surprise, where a lot of traditional framing clients want to be involved. They want to see a bunch of different colors of different samples, and I've did that for many years. But for what we're doing now, the people that find us like what we do, they know what we do, and they kind of trust us within the community, and everybody talks and everybody knows all the different framers, from myself to Casal to a bunch of other guys that do this kind of work. And those collectors that collect posters are now collecting framers. So they'll say, hey, do you have a Casal? Do you have a Firehouse 18? Do you have a Micah Paul? So now there's a whole nother category of people collecting framers, so that they have all their favorite artists and their favorite bands, but now they have their favorite kind of over the top framers too, which is really cool.
That's pretty amazing, you know. So what you're saying here is your frames are an extension of the art in that realm. Is that what am I hearing here?
Yeah, exactly. So like if a customer wants input, we try to find out, you know, we don't want to put their least favorite color or a theme that's not okay with, you know, the room it's going in, but typically we try to honor the art and the environment that the characters or the theme or the textures of it are in. So everything, the art tells me what to do, and whether I want to do something one way or another, the way we do it is we honor the art, and we try to, as if the artists themselves could draw and sculpt and 3D print or laser cut or fabricate a frame themselves. We try to do it at their level of artistry and bring their piece three-dimensionally to life. So it's a new thing, not just a frame that's going around it. It's like a new experience.
That's amazing. You know, you didn't tell me this, but I heard from other framers that you get your stuff from really exotic places, right? You get your stuff from like overseas and all that stuff. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah, so we
like your material.
I used to do a lot of custom acrylic. It's really expensive since COVID happened and plastic prices are through the roof, as you know. It's a little bit harder for certain clients that are on a budget. I would use it a lot more if I could, but I get a lot of stuff that's custom made in Japan. Like I have probably 400 different styles of really wild acrylic with, you know, different resins and patterns and textures, and any chance I get to use it where the budget allows it, we love to do it. So that's the main place is there's a place in Japan that does just tremendous work that looks like glass, but I can throw it in a laser and cut it however I want it and form it. And it's, nobody else has that stuff, you know?
That's amazing. Guys, I have Micah's YouTube channel, his Instagram page, and he has a Facebook group. I have all that here at the bottom of the screen. I'm also going to put a link so you can click it, but you can probably search these up if you're trying to look up some of his work, if you're not familiar with his work. So, Micah, do you use any traditional frames like stuff you get in my shop?
I used to try to do a balance of half of it would be a traditional frame and half would be my creation. And then, you know, there's since COVID and before COVID, there's a lot of times it's a struggle to get something that you want. It's not quite as easy as it used to be. And then I just took the leap and said, I'm just going to make everything from scratch. I use most of the materials I use are never going to go out of stock. The paints, the wood, the acrylic has always been readily available. So I just don't want to come up with a design and be really excited about it and then have to wait 6 months to get that thing. So I've kind of become a closed corner frame company direct to the customers, kind of where we're at right now.
I like that a lot. Do you sell any of your stuff to frame shops as well?
We have a few clients, and we're doing little bits here and there. So probably next year we're going to launch a couple services or items to framers. We're not quite there yet. We're working on a new location, and once we have that built out and ready to go, mid next year, maybe early to mid next year, we'll be offering some cool stuff to everybody.
Nice. You know, a couple of years back, I bought the tire frame you made, the pre-made tire frame.
Yeah.
And my employee, he likes racing his car. He's got a nice Scion sports car. So we framed that up, him in the track, and we put that and we hung that on the wall. And I get a lot of customers who come in and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And then Tom comes out and goes, "Hey, that's my car." It's a really cool frame. People love it. It's great stuff.
The spikes
Right,
weren't
Micah,
too much for that.
it had it had a stand in the back too. So I put that up
Yeah.
this way because it had stuff on it. So I bring the frame down and show them, "Hey, this frame actually sits." And they're like, "Oh, I want to buy one." I'm like, "Oh, no, there was a limited edition sale, and you can't get that anymore."
Yeah, I appreciate you buying that.
Hey, of course, man. I one day I'm going to buy a nice Michael Paul Bolton proper frame, but I'm not a collector of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I actually don't have a lot of frames in my house.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So
Micah, huh?
We got to get your get your laser going and see what you come up with.
Yeah, I bought the laser. When did I buy it? I told you in June, right? I bought that in June, and I still haven't figured out. I put the vent up now. I'm going to hook up the networking. Hopefully this Saturday I'm going to get it going.
Okay.
I just don't have time. I have so much work to do.
Yeah.
But I think it would be great. It would be great to be able to do some cool stuff with it. So, do you become a collector of the art that you frame? Because I talked to Kusal, and he's like, "You know what? You frame so much of this stuff, and you start liking, and you start collecting. Do you also become one of those, a collector yourself?"
Yeah, I have a massive stack of stuff that'll never get framed, and I just bought 3 new prints this week. So you have to kind of be in the know and find out when the artist is going to drop it, and you have to be on their website right when it goes live. Otherwise, 5 minutes later, it'll be sold out. So it becomes like an exciting event. So me and my really good friend, when an artist that we love is going to do a drop, we kind of get together and both get on our laptops and see if we can snag one before it's gone. So definitely a collector now.
Oh, that is very cool. That is very cool. So look, I can understand a job like this will take some time, right? So what is your lead time for a project that's semi-complicated, not too crazy complicated, but not very easy? How long does that take?
So we have a queue. So when a customer approaches us and they want to do a frame, we let them know that wherever the queue's at, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it might be a little more than that. It kind of fluctuates based on the project. But typically everybody in the poster collecting community or toy collecting community is used to having to wait for the posters to be printed, and sometimes that takes 3 to 6 months. For vinyl toys, they have to wait even longer sometimes. So the clients are really great about it. So it's actually kind of a dream situation, because if you tell most of your clients at a traditional frame shop that it's going to take 6 months, they're out the door. But most of my clients want something special and they're willing to wait for it. So I've been very lucky with that.
Now, Micah, I wouldn't consider you a traditional framer at all. Maybe I wouldn't even consider you a picture framer, right? You're creating really, what you're doing is you're creating art. You're creating art for the art. Would you accept that concept? Because you're not really just a framer.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with when people ask what I do. It's not really framing anymore. It's a lot of engineering and electrical and technology. I mean, it still is a picture frame, but I don't know what it's called yet. But you're not wrong.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. You do some really creative stuff, and you know how you said people wait for the posters to drop. I wait for your videos to drop because I see the final product, and sometimes I message you, I'm like, "Dude, when you're putting up the video, I want to see."
Yeah, we haven't been posting videos in a while. We had some lease issues, and we had to move to a temporary location, so that's why we're waiting for our new building to be built out. So our video production is kind of stopped for now, but that was one of my favorite things. Was I learned so much from YouTube and so many people, so I kind of like now doing the same thing, as showing how the process is done and kind of demystifying it and showing what's possible. And I think it'll encourage other framers down the road, or at least a younger generation. They're all on YouTube. So people that might not normally think they want to be a framer might see a video that's interesting and maybe pick it up. So that's my hope.
Yeah. I went back in the day when the restaurants where you sit, the food comes out. So I don't know. I went to a shop one place. It was an Italian restaurant, and they had half of the store was you sit, and half the store was the kitchen, where the guys were making the pasta and all the fires coming up. It was a cool, exciting stuff because you can see your food being made, and you see how much work was involved instead of just getting surprised with a thing. So what you're doing is kind of doing that. You're showing people what you're making, what it takes to make that frame, because it does take a bunch of time. It does take a bunch of effort. So I like how you make the videos. I could imagine you can make a video for every job you sell.
I was trying to there for a while, and we'll definitely get back to it. But it is, as you know, just even doing an interview, it's quite the production, let alone being in your shop and having cameras set up at every angle and then thinking about what you're doing. It really slows down the process, but I do enjoy doing it, and we will get back to it at some point.
Micah, I got a question on Facebook. It doesn't say who the user is, but it says, "What is the grail piece of art that you want to frame?" I think that's a very good question.
There is I don't know, everybody pronounces it different, but there's an artist named Emic. He's kind of, to me, the most, probably the best, if not the most prolific. And there's a Medusa piece from him that I haven't got to frame that a lot of other framers have. So that one probably be right up there. The Emic Medusa.
Emic Medusa. Hey, anybody's thinking of buying Micah a birthday gift? You know what to get him.
That's a very expensive birthday gift.
I think you deserve it, my friend. All right, I got one more question. When printing, you are using mostly filament style printers. Do you ever use resin? Sorry, that's a technical question. I don't know the answer. Can you answer that?
Yeah. I thought about the resin. You can get a lot more detail in a resin printer, super fine detail, which isn't always needed for what I'm doing. It's nice, but it's a very messy, and it can be a very toxic, smelly thing. So the filaments have gotten really good as far as, so you have resin printing, and then you have FDM printing, which is what I use, which is a filament base. So it's fused deposition modeling, I think it's called, or manufacturing. And it just does layer by layer and slowly builds it up. Where a resin printer is in a resin bath, and then it cures a layer, lifts it up, cures another layer, lifts it up. But that resin process is very, very messy, and I've got enough on my plate that I don't want to be cleaning resin all the time. So, but eventually, you never know.
Micah, somebody's asking, when is your birthday? Maybe that print is coming your way.
I think after 25, you don't have birthdays anymore, right?
I don't know, man. I like receiving gifts. So I have a half a birthday, a full birthday. Bring it on.
Oh, nice.
My son is actually he's 11. He's taking an intro to engineering class, and they're doing 3D work using something like SketchUp, I think, or something. And he said, my teacher said we can print these if we had a 3D printer. So I think I'm gonna call you sometime when he's ready, and get him like an economy 3D printer. I think it'd be fun to print out the stuff he's making.
Yeah, I'll be happy to give you a recommendation. That's great that he's learning how to do 3D modeling at such a young age. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, so that's great that he's into that.
Yeah, thank you. I got a question. When would you ever give the families closure? I don't understand this question, Christopher. Micah, does that make sense to you, this question?
Would you ever give the family? I don't know what that means.
No. All right, we'll get that to a different time. Michael, look,
Actually,
I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to thank you. Yeah.
it might be a podcast reference. It could be a joke. I know Chris. I know the person that posted it, so it could be a little inside joke, but I'm just guessing.
That's going to require a private reply.
Yeah.
Okay, so Micah, any last words? Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
No, just thank you for inviting me to do this interview, and thank you for everything you do on Framers Only and creating that forum for all of us framers. And I don't post a lot, or I'm not in there a lot other than posting my projects, but I'm always getting a lot of info from seeing what you guys are doing. So thank you for the effort you put into that.
Likewise, man. I try to help out my community. I bought my house. I got married. My kids. So this is this business. Making these rectangles helped me build a nice life. So I like to give back to the community.
Well, I appreciate that, Mo.
Likewise. Micah, thank you for your time, and for everybody who tuned in, thank you as well, and we'll see you on the next time.
See you guys. Thank you.